Hello, my name is Oliver. I'm back again with you from Community Missionary Baptist Church in DeSoto and Cedar Hill, Texas. This is vlog number 12 in the series, The Jesus You Never Knew. As we have said from time to time, we are not so much concerned about the people that Jesus met, but more so the Jesus that people met. So on this vlog, number 12, I want to deal with the topic, what Jesus left behind. It's a very interesting topic, and I want to use as a background to what I have to say with reference to what Jesus left behind. Acts of the Apostles chapter 1, 6 through 11. In that reference, we would, of course, let me give a background to some of the thoughts that I have with reference to the what Jesus left behind. There was Mary Magdalene, that's found over in Mark's Gospel. The other woman at the tomb. Jesus left behind Peter in Jerusalem. The two travelers, you remember, on the road. Then the 10 disciples in the closed door in which Thomas was missing. All the disciples with Thomas, and then the 7 disciples while they were fishing, the 11 disciples on the mountain, a crowd of 500. All this Jesus left behind. But in Acts, Jesus is saying goodbye to his disciples. For 3.5 years, they have been intimately intertwined through good times and through bad times. And he changed their lives, of course. And so after he spent 40 incredible days after he arose, all this in the sense that Jesus was trying to continue to emphasize the message that he had given to his brothers and sisters. So let me give you 7 things that I believe Jesus left behind. The first, number 1, I believe that Jesus left behind an unfinished task. Remember, in Acts 1:1, it begins this way. The former treatise have I made, O Theophilus, of all that Jesus began both to do and to teach. His task was not finished, for the Son of Man is come to seek and to save that which was lost. So therefore, after Jesus left, he left with his disciples an unfinished task, and that is to spread the gospel. The mission fields cry out to us, there is an unfinished task. The remote areas in every city cry out, and they let us know that there is an unfinished task that Jesus left. The voices of the young, the voices of the marginalized, the voices of the poor remind us that Jesus left behind an unfinished task. Number 2, I believe that Jesus left behind an unfinished message. That's in verse 3 of chapter 1. In whom also he showed himself alive after his passion by many infallible proofs, being seen of them 40 days, and speaking of the things pertaining to the kingdom. In other words, you cannot challenge the message, and liberalism cannot challenge it. Man has attempted so often to challenge it, but what Jesus left for us is an unchallenged message. The message of death, well, let's say life, resurrection, and the death of Jesus Christ. That's the unchallenged message that Jesus left. Number 3, I believe that Jesus left behind an unquestionable love. That's in verse 3. To whom also he showed himself alive after his passion by many infallible proofs being seen of them. No one can question this love that Jesus had and demonstrated through his life and his death. He gave his life, and it is an unquestionable love that Jesus had when he went to the cross of Calvary. Number 4, Jesus left an unmistakable plan. And this is it. And you shall be my witnesses unto the uttermost parts of the world. That's the plan. That's the mission statement. We are to be witnesses, first in Jerusalem, in Judea, in Samaria, into the surrounding areas. That's the unmistakable plan. If the church wants a mission, the church wants a vision of the future, that's it. The plan is to be witnesses to Jesus, of Jesus, into our world. Number 5, Jesus left behind an unshakable testimony. That's in verse 10. And while they looked steadfastly toward heaven as he went up, behold, 2 men stood by them in white apparel. If we could just get professing Christians to look steadfastly towards heaven, that's the testimony. Your testimony will either exalt Christ or will shame Christ. And we cannot lose sight of the fact that Jesus left us this unshakable testimony that we go out into the world. And that's why it is so important to let people know what Jesus Christ has done in your life and in mine. Number 6, Jesus left behind an unstoppable force. In verse 11, ye men of Galilee, go out into the world. In Luke 24, it says, and behold, I send the promise of my Father upon you, but tarry ye in the city of Jerusalem until you be endued with power, dunamis, from on high. That's the unstoppable force. You know, we often talk about the gates of hell shall not prevail against the church. And I've often told people, I say, gates don't move. The gates are not coming against the church, but it is incumbent upon the church, the people of God, the Christian force to move out into the world and exemplify this unstoppable force once we are filled with the Spirit of God. Tarry ye in Jerusalem until you be endued with power from on high. And number 7, Jesus left behind an unfailing promise in verse 11, which, and this is what it says, which also said, ye men of Galilee, why stand ye gazing up into the heavens? This same Jesus, which is taken up from you into heaven, shall come in like manner as ye have seen him go into heaven. He left us a promise, and the promise is, I will come again. We ought to live that way. We ought to live expecting the return of Jesus Christ. We don't know when. We just know that that's the unfailing promise that Jesus left behind for all of us. Remember, it was Douglas MacArthur, who said during, it was World War II, when he said to the people in the Philippines, "I shall return." And of course, Douglas MacArthur returned, and and even more important to Christians is the return of Jesus Christ. We ought to live that way. We ought to live as though Jesus Christ will come anytime. And if we live with this expectant hope that Jesus will come at any time, I think it will change the way we live our Christian lives from day to day. This has been vlog number 12 in the series, The Jesus You Never Knew. And the title of this vlog was What Jesus Left Behind. God bless you, and you have a great day.